We're gonna start by making a well in the center of our flour and adding a little bit of salt. The flour has to be very well sifted or fine. The better quality, the better dumplings in taste. So we want to go for a cake flour. It will be nice and fluffy, and our dumplings will be obviously fluffy and good quality. We want to use 1 kilogram of flour. We're gonna use most of it, as you can see in here, and we're gonna use a little bit just to add it later on so the dough doesn't stick. So first thing we need to do is melt some butter. Butter is optional, but it will add that nice yellow color to the dumplings, so that's a nice tip. To add a real butter, not margarine, a real butter. A 1 spoon I would say will be sufficient, and we're gonna melt it and add straight to our flour. So as you can see in here, I'm using my mum using a good quality butter, because the recipe I'm sharing today is my mum recipe, original recipe, which are amazing dumplings. The dumplings recipe is the same for all the dumplings. The only difference will be, or variation will be, in a filling of the dumplings. So all this you can use for any dumplings you're making, the cheese dumplings or one with fruit. Okay, we have just added some butter to our flour, as you can see in here. It's still warm, so we're just gonna weld that into the dough and keep adding some water. The water in here is about half of a liter of water for 1 kilogram of flour, and we're just gonna see how we go. We're gonna slowly keep adding a bit of water. The water has to be hot. So when you heat some water, boil some water, when you put your finger in, you should still feel that the water is still really hot. We're gonna keep adding hot water to the flour, and that's another tip. Don't use a cold water in your dumplings. So my mom keep adding some hot water and keep gathering the flour to the center of the board, and we're just gonna make sure it's all nice and smooth, all combined together. We are not adding any eggs. In some of the recipes, some people using eggs. I wouldn't use egg. This is original and the best recipe for dumplings. My grandma dumplings recipe, and I would say this is one of the best I ever tasted dumplings. So just follow the recipe through, nice and easy and very quick, to be honest. So we keep adding some water. If you don't need half of a liter, that's completely fine. You will see if you need more or not, but half of a liter is definitely sufficient. So you don't need more water than that for this amount of flour. So we're just gonna keep doing what my mom doing until we're gonna have one smooth dough. So we're just gonna carry on for a little bit. As you can see, it will change the texture, and this is completely fine. That's normal. The flour will stick a little bit, probably for quite a long. It will be very sticky, but it should take around probably 15 minutes to do all this. So we're just gonna keep doing it, as you can see, and make sure it's all fine. And it should be more elastic. So it's gonna become a bit more elastic each time you're gonna carry on doing it. Make sure you get scrape all the flour there, and if you need, you can add a bit of flour later on, but at this point you don't need to be adding more flour. So we're just gonna make sure it's nice and smooth, everything comes together nicely, as you can see in here. Just keep adding all this, and it will be less sticky, as I would say. As you can see, the texture has changed now. It's all nicely combined nearly. So we're getting there, as you can see. Won't be long, and then we'll be done. And we're gonna be moving on to the next stage, which again is very, very simple. So this is how it should look. You don't want it watery, you don't want it, you know, falling apart. So this is nearly there. So I will show you in a second. Done. So this is how it looks like. We're gonna put it in a plastic cover like this. You can use a sandwich one. So we're gonna leave it in here for at least, I would say, 1 hour. We'll leave it for 1 hour. In today's video, we're gonna be using blueberries. So my mom you can use either fresh blueberries or frozen blueberries. With the frozen one, you have to defrost them, and if you leave them for longer than 1 hour, they're gonna be very watery. Now, we're gonna move on to our dumplings. So after 1 hour, the dough has been covered for 1 hour, or you can just cover it with a kitchen cloth and leave it in a bowl. So it's up to you. Now we're gonna roll out our pastry for dumplings and use a glass. So my mom usually uses a glass and basically cut out the little circles, as you can see in here. So we've got lots of them, and usually she does freeze dumplings. You can of course freeze the dumplings if you're gonna make a portions from 1 kilogram of flour, because you're gonna get quite a lot. So she does freeze them, and you can freeze them up to 3 months easily, and then defrost and then fry them. Those dumplings we're doing today, they are with blueberries. The blueberries were defrosted, and because we had some guests coming in, we left them for too long, so they got lots of juice and lots of they're more watery than they should be, because we have left them, I think, for 2 hours, so too long. All you need to do is basically have your blueberries and add a bit of sugar, nothing else. That's the filling we use in Poland. So this is how the dumplings should look like when they're done. We basically add the filling in and just close them like this. There are machines which you can use to help you with this, because myself, I'm not the best as making the dumplings looking like this. So there's a machine where you just basically put your pastry on and just close it, and it will do it for you, which is pretty straightforward, pretty easy, so anyone can do it. Once you do it once, you will love it, and it's very cheap but very tasty, very filling. So I would definitely recommend it, and definitely remind me from my childhood, the dumplings with the blueberries. So now we're waiting for our water to boil. Once the water is boiled, we're gonna throw the dumplings, and just once you can see the bubbles, we're gonna keep them there for 2 minutes only. After that time, you have to, when they come to the surface, you need to throw some cold water, because they're gonna be overcooked. So after 2 minutes, on your clock, you're just gonna take them out straight away. This is very, very important step. We're not cooking them for 20 minutes or 10 minutes or 15, only 2 minutes they need. So we're taking out straight away our dumplings and throwing some cold water in the pan, because all of them are at the surface now, which means they are properly cooked. Those, of course, they are with blueberry. We do eat them more like a dessert, but also obviously as a meal, because they're very filling, and usually we make them in the summer with a fresh fruit rather than frozen. I will show you later what do we add on top. Very, very tasty, kids love them. We put some blueberry fillings, usually the most common one you will come across, or strawberry one. So those are the most common one. Blueberries, they are a bit messy, obviously, so you have to be careful when you're eating them. You don't want to stain any clothes, but they're so tasty, especially that we do have lots of woods. I live personally close to the wood, and my dad basically goes and gets some blueberries. You can find them there, so they're very tasty. I will show you how we serve them in Poland. So this one, as you can see, there's quite a lot of them from 1 kilogram of flour, but we're gonna serve them now. We'll get to it now. How amazing they look! Of course, the most common dumplings are cheese dumplings, cheese and potatoes. So the filling inside will be cheese and potatoes, and that's one you can find in most restaurants across Poland. And they will be on the menu under pierogi z serem, dumplings with cheese, or possibly you can find the blueberry one or strawberry one, and they will be on the menu under pierogi z truskawkami, so dumplings with strawberries, or pierogi with blueberries will be pierogi with pierogi z jagodami. Okay, they look so tasty, I can't wait any longer. So usually what we do, we add a bit of cream on top of a dumpling. And so as I said, those are served obviously sweet version. So we're gonna add some cream on very top. This really reminds me of my childhood. We obviously don't make it that often, maybe once a month, I would say, the sweet version. The more common one are cheese and potato ones, which are delicious, and you can reheat them with some fat and some bacon on top. But those are sweet version. As I said, we just add some cream, especially amazing in summer, and they basically melt in your mouth. So we've got some cream, we've got some cheese, and those are blueberry dumplings. I will show you quickly how they look inside. As I said, they're a bit more watery than they should be because we have kept defrosing the blueberry for too long. So they let the juices out basically. But it's so tasty, they melt in your mouth. Amazing, incredible. I would highly recommend it, especially the recipe, my mom recipe to make them. They come out perfect every time, and if you're not sure about how to make them, you can use the machine to make the dumplings to make it easier for yourself. So I hope you enjoy it.